Hello and welcome back. Thank you, as always, for joining me. We're going to address today a very, very good and very frequent question. A number of you may be new to A Course in Miracles, and even if you're not, even if you're a long-standing student, the topic of conversation for today is of direct relevance to you. So I invite all of you to stick around as always, because there is a message for you from the Holy Spirit. What that may be, I have no idea, but you'll know when you hear it. And that's the important thing. The question is, how do I start the course? It's a very good question. It is. How do I start this video series or any other aid or supplement to A Course in Miracles, any other video series or series of commentary that talks about the course, that presents the course, that may explain it and hopefully inspire you to put it into practice? You know where we're going with that one. Yeah, things like that. The bound volume of A Course in Miracles itself is a rather large book. It's big and full of words. Lots and lots of words. So people have commented in the past that it seems rather daunting. Okay. Yeah, it's a big, thick book. Where do you possibly begin? It's a very good question. So, inherent in the answer to this question is the key to practicing this entire course. There are several components to A Course in Miracles. There are three main components and then two supplements. The components themselves are the text of A Course in Miracles, the workbook for students, and the manual for teachers, at the end of which is a smaller section entitled Clarification of Terms, which is very interesting and very handy. There are two smaller supplements to A Course in Miracles. One is called Psychotherapy, Principles, Process, and Practice, and the other one is known as the Song of Prayer. Jesus dictated all of them to Helen Schucman in the 1960s and 1970s. So the same process has been used for all of the material, all of it. It's the same voice that has given the course. So that's consistent. So where do you start? Well, that's a really good question. Commonly, people take a look at A Course in Miracles and they associate it with the workbook for students. Why? Because it's designed so that over the course of a calendar year, doing one lesson at a time, it's possible to complete the workbook for students, which is not all of A Course in Miracles. It is only one part. A number of people choose to begin here, and this may be why a number of people start this and give it up after a few days or a few weeks. Because people come in rightfully excited that they're going to learn something about spirituality, only to discover that lesson one, nothing I see in this room means anything. Nothing I see out this window means anything. Nothing I see on this screen means anything. What? Well, there's a reason for that. The workbook for students presents the thought system of A Course in Miracles, and it is a thought system. It is a course in mind training. So if you're checking this out and you expected something else, Now, that's what this is, a course in mind training. We don't see things as they are, as you well know, or you would not be on the spiritual path in the first place. We don't see things as they are. We don't see ourselves as we are. We don't see our brother, i.e., all other life forms, as they are. We don't. We don't see our brother as he is. We don't see the world as it is and is not. We don't see things correctly. This course corrects our perception. And if we're to awaken, achieve what we call in the spiritual world enlightenment or liberation or awakening or whatever you want to call it, makes no difference. If we're to do this, unpopular as it may sound to the ego, and it does sound deeply threatening, we must completely turn our perception right side up. It is upside down. We do not see things as they are. We must learn to see them as they are. We must learn to see ourselves as we are. Hmm. We must learn to see our brother as he is, really, truly, not the outward stuff that he may be doing, however egregious it may appear to us at the moment. We don't see things as they are, and we must learn to see them 100%, totally, completely as they are. Only then will awakening occur. Now, along the way, you may be protesting that, hey, I've had this experience, I've had this experience, it was beautiful, it was deeply impactful. Yes, those are most certainly possible along the way. And who knows when that may or may not occur. If you haven't had one of these experiences, not a problem. Who's saying you won't? What we can say for sure is we're all going to have the experience of setting the ego aside. We're all going to awaken. When? Well, I don't know. Maybe today. And it may be that it doesn't happen for you in this lifetime. So be it. You can still make what we would consider here in the world to be great strides. Lana? Good. It doesn't matter where you begin. Some people are called to start with the text, which is more abstract and presents the thought system. The workbook for students involves these 365 ideas, which are called lessons. And this is incidentally, the only part of the course where there is a specific instruction. It's no more than one lesson per day. It sounds really obvious. And there are 365, so if you do one lesson per day, then you can do the entire workbook in a calendar year. It frequently takes longer than that. Why? Because there may be a lesson that really resonates with you that you want to spend more time on, or perhaps you do, as I did the first time I went through the workbook and just uh, didn't really do the lesson. I would do it in the morning, and many of them, especially early on, call for practice periods, reinforcement, which I would forget about, conveniently going off, doing the day, doing this, doing that, come back at night only to realize, oh, I really didn't do those. I better do this again tomorrow. And that's a choice that you could make. The only directive is no more than one lesson per day. Sounds obvious? You'd be surprised at the people that said, hey, I did the workbook in 90 days. Really? Hmm, most interesting. And then someone once asked, what do I do now? So I opened the workbook to lesson one. You know, you'd be surprised. That's the only section that involves any kind of directive at all. You could choose to start with the manual for teachers if you feel called to do that. That is a very interesting and very helpful question and answer session. Really interesting about spirituality in general and about the terms of this course as they're applied and used here in A Course in Miracles, which you'll discover takes a very, very different approach to the one we've been conditioned in here in the world. The world has conditioned you to think that you're an individual human being in a body. I invite you to listen to the voice in your mind that says, you're more than that. You're not this. This is not you, which you know, or you wouldn't be on the spiritual path because you have formulated somewhere at some point the thought, however fleeting it may have been, or maybe it was very pronounced, that there's more to it than this. There's more to it than meeting the needs of the physical body, eating, drinking, sleeping, going to the bathroom, getting up and doing it again the next day, going off to work and eating, meal prep, got to go to the grocery store, pay a bill. Yeah, there's a lot more to it than that, as we all know. That's why we're on the spiritual path. You can start this course wherever you're called to do that, which is a very important point. We do this course under the guidance of the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, as instructed, as called, as directed. Pick your verb. Doesn't matter. What matters is our relationship with our inner teacher. The Holy Spirit is known by many names right here in A Course in Miracles itself. It's known very often and prominently as the voice for God. It's also known as friend, all of these with capital letters, by the way. Friend, the answer, communication link, mediator, comforter, and many others. Jesus, the Holy Spirit, same. You may do this course with Jesus if you feel that you have that relationship. He's a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. You may call, incidentally, the Holy Spirit anything you want. You may call the Holy Spirit Mike, Sue, or your guide or guides if you prefer that approach. It does not matter because all names are merely collections of sounds. They're not the thing that they represent at all. They're symbolic. So call it what you will. We learn as we study and practice this course something very central to this thought system, and that's learning to relax and trust the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Learning to relax and trust the guidance of what I frequently refer to on this series of videos as our inner teacher. Inner because it's part of our mind. Oh, by the way, the pronoun it is perfectly appropriate. The Holy Spirit's not a man. It's not a woman. It's not a dude. So the Course, as a matter of convention, uses the masculine pronouns he and him to talk about the Holy Spirit and God. No, God's not a person either. Hmm. Happily, right? So we start where we're called to start. And in relaxing and trusting the guidance of our inner teacher, I want to emphasize inner because the Holy Spirit's part of you, not separate from you. The Holy Spirit's part of our mind, and we could choose to listen to this part of our mind that will look past all of the ego's psychodrama on planet wobbling spinning ball of rock to the truth of who and what you really are. And I know you know that. You know exactly what that is. Doesn't mean that you're not afraid to go there. That's fine. Welcome to the path. This course is meant for you to question everything. If you feel like you've been questioning the very foundations of everything that you now believe? Good. Keep going. It's known as a direct approach. It points you directly to truth. The question each one of us must ask ourselves is, are we ready to see it? Are we ready to accept truth just as it is? The main resistance is in this truth, there is no individual I. There is no ego. There is no individuality at all. It is this that prompts the greatest resistance of all. And I know you've experienced it. Why? Because this conversation appears to be happening. It means we've all experienced this, and perhaps you're really going through it right now. So, is this course unlike other forms of spirituality? Well, kind of, yeah. It is a self-study curriculum. It is not a religion. It is not a cult. This pixelated image on your screen, which I promise you is all you're looking at, nothing, an assemblage of electronic dots. It's not in charge of you. Yay. It's very happy about that, by the way. We do this course under the guidance of our inner teacher. And when something lands for you, you can count on the fact that it's him. I repeat throughout this series of videos that what you're looking at right here is merely a pixelated image on your screen. Why do I do that? You're not a body. Disidentify as much as you feel able to do right now. And then you get up tomorrow and you do it again and again. All of this process of practicing the course is about this relationship that we have with our inner teacher and our willingness, even if it's only for a fraction of a second, to be led just a little bit today, as far as we feel able to go today. Or, if you prefer, as far as we're willing to go today. How far are you willing to go today and allow yourself to be led? And then we do the same thing tomorrow. That's why on this series of videos, several videos appear each week, because spirituality is something that we really do need to do more than just pay lip service to, as you're well aware. It's not just for 1 hour a week in a designated building across the street from a different looking designated building that may get together and do the same thing on a different day. It's ongoing. You're fully aware of that. But we need to hear the things that are obvious over and over again because it's the obvious things that we're most prone to dismiss. Think about it. As adult learners, if something is obvious, we almost immediately indulge this voice in our mind saying, it's got to be more complicated than that. It can't be. Oh, but it is. So on this series of videos, you may start anywhere, anywhere that you like. A bit of context, this video series began in 2021. It's been going on for 4 years now. It began in January of that year as a live stream on the online platform called Enlightened World Network, where I was invited by the network to teach this course. So you can still find the videos on that network here and this YouTube channel as well. So what happened is after 6 months, we decided that we would give up the live stream format in favor of pre-recorded videos, which is what you're watching right now. That's been going on for years. So there are well over 1,000 videos. Start where you're called to start. There is not a designated start here playlist, although we have done the entire workbook for students and a large part of the text. There are videos about the manual for teachers, the clarification of terms, as well as the two supplements. So start where you're called to start. There's a lot of content out there, and there's going to be more. And you're watching this video, which is good. So wherever you're called to start, understand something about the course that applies to these videos as well. Every single part of this course contains the entire thought system. It is completely 100% internally cohesive. The message is the same. You could actually, if you wanted to, open the text, and people do this, to a random page. Consider this. You were meant to open to that random page and read whatever it is that your eyes light on. That was deliberate. There are no accidents, as you well know. You do know that. There are no coincidences at all. You're here for a reason. So you could do it that way if you want to. If you don't want to do it in what we would call a conventional linear fashion, the only stipulation here is if you're doing the workbook, start at lesson one. Again, you'd be surprised. And one lesson per day maximum. That. So wherever you feel called. So because the course is internally consistent, you can always get the full message of the course from any of its parts. One of the things the course is teaching us, and as learners we must learn to distinguish, is the difference between form and content. Form refers to the outward appearance of things. There appear to be 8 billion plus of these things, for example. It's what appears to be in the world that appears to be outside us. Many different forms. Spirituality, same thing. There are many different traditions. Incidentally, just because this course is a direct approach doesn't make it superior to other traditions. Why would that be? There are many doors that all enter onto the same place. God, why? God's the only reality. Therefore, where else would they open to? And the course is teaching us that there are no degrees of anything. There's no separation of any kind. There are no hierarchies of any kind. So one spiritual thought system can't be superior to other spiritual thought systems. There is no superior, inferior, taller, shorter, higher, lower. There is no separation of any kind. So start this course wherever you're called to start it. Every part of it contains the entirety of the thought system, which you can get from any of these videos as well. We always get what we're meant to get, which we all know, and we would readily accept that, but it's one of these supremely obvious practical ideas that we go off and ignore because we think it's got to be more difficult than that. So we make it more difficult for ourselves. There's a lesson. All of the complications in life, we introduce ourselves. If we think our life is complicated, it's because we made it so. Unmake it. You have that power. I know you know that. Doesn't mean that you choose to accept it and use it, but you're sure invited to. We all are. So we hear what we're meant to hear. When something lands for us, we can count on the fact that it's the Holy Spirit. So if you've watched this video up to this point, there has likely been something said that you were meant to hear. If not, it's coming. There's a reason why you're paying attention to this. I mean, I appreciate that you're paying attention to it. But there's a reason for it. Only you'll know what that is, which is part of the reason why these broadcasts actually exist in the first place. Because I don't know when a light bulb is going to pop on for you. So I simply show up and teach. This is my own personal directive. Yours can look very, very different. Again, this is a difference in outward form. The content is exactly the same. Content, we mean meaning. By content, we mean the meaning, the heart of the matter, the essence. What we're really saying can take many outward forms, but the meaning is internally consistent. The meaning of this course is that there is no separation of any kind. We're invited to extend love, to forgive, to extend love, because that is what we are. However that message comes across, that and to whomever you broadcast that message in whatever medium, even if it's just saying hello and saying hi and smiling, that's a way of doing it, isn't it? However it's done, that's a difference in outward form. The content, love, is the same. This is a course all about the content, the meaning. It looks past outward appearances, so you will find, and you probably know already. If you don't, well, you're finding out. This is not a course in rearranging the world out there. It's not about manifesting more money. It's not about manifesting stuff, finer threads, a great job, and a beautiful home. It's not about that. It's about changing our mind. Now, as a result of changing our mind to be more loving, will all that other stuff come? Well, maybe. If it does or it does not, so be it. That is not the point. The point is to change our mind and correct our perception. Once we've done that, awakening happens by itself. Truth dawns of itself, but we must first meet its conditions. In other words, our mind must be peaceful. We must completely change it and see things as they really are. So I invite you along this journey with me. What you can expect here in this series of videos are several conversations per week. Yeah, on average, 4, 5, or 6, something like that. And questions are more than welcome. So the comment thread right here on YouTube is designed to be a place to ask questions if you've got them. And I'm certain that you do, because spirituality is all about deep self-inquiry after all. So they're quite natural. Yeah. So please feel welcome to ask all the questions that you may have here, and ones that seem like they're the most beginner-ish are often the best, by the way, because as we continue to say and reiterate, you never know when a longtime student's going to get it. Somebody on the other side of the world, perhaps, whom you're highly unlikely to meet in person in this lifetime. So, questions, please ask them. If you have not yet subscribed, please do that. The prompt is here in the corner of your screen. Click that icon, you'll be invited to join us. And by the way, on YouTube, if you are a subscriber and you wish to be notified each time a new video drops, again, it's several times per week, you can click that bell icon and manage your subscriptions and choose if you'd like to be notified of that. That's an option that's available to you. Okay, so thank you so much. I appreciate the question, and this course is a mind blower. And I know you're ready for it. So whether you choose to embark on it or whether you don't, it's up to you. But I'm here for any and all questions that you may have. I thank you for tuning in.